Hey guys, welcome back. Today we're going to be going over some finger picking patterns. Today I will be using a little bit of music theory unlike I did in the first couple of videos, just so we can be moving up and down the fretboard. Today we will be using the Aeolian minor. It's starting in A minor. Very convenient. I'm pretty sure that's why they named it that. We're going to be working on the bottom three strings today. You won't need a pick. But you will need your hands. So what we're going to be doing today is taking 3-string chords, moving them up and down the fretboard while working on applying the correct finger motions with our picking hands. So this is a little difficult for me still, so bear with me. We're all learning together. So what I'm doing is with my thumb I'm picking the 3rd string, with my ring finger I'm picking the 1st string, and my middle finger I'm picking the 2nd string, and I'm leaving my index finger free. A lot of the reason I do that is kind of stability or balance. I keep my pinky down here just like I would as I'm usually picking, but that's just kind of where my hand freely falls. You don't have to do exactly the same as me, so you got to find what's comfortable for you. So our first chord is going to be a C, and so this one we're going to start out with the 2 open strings on the 1st and the 3rd, and we're going to have our C on the 1st fret of the 2nd string. It's going to sound like this. Alright, our next chord is going to be a D minor, and so our 1st finger is going to be on the 1st fret of the 1st string, our ring finger is going to be on the 3rd fret of the 2nd string, and our middle finger is going to be on the 2nd fret of the 3rd string, and it's going to sound like this. Alright, we're going to move that up. We're going to keep the same positioning. Our 1st finger is going to be on the 3rd fret of the 1st string. Our ring finger is going to be on the 5th fret of the 2nd string. And our middle finger is going to be on the 4th fret of our 3rd string. Alright, and this works if you're in standard tuning. I apologize for saying that now. I am in standard tuning. Next, we're going to move it up. We're going to put our 1st finger on the 1st fret, or the 5th fret of the 1st string, excuse me. Our middle finger on the 6th fret of the 2nd string, and our 3rd finger, or ring finger, on the 7th fret of the 3rd string. It's going to sound like this. Alright, we're going to take that same shape and we're going to move it up to the 7th fret, where our 1st finger is going to be on the 7th fret of the 1st string. Our middle finger is going to be on the 8th fret of the 2nd string. And our ring finger is going to be on the 9th fret of the 3rd string. And it's going to sound like this. Right, notice I'm kind of plucking. What I want to do is when I'm getting to this chord, I'm kind of getting underneath these strings. And I'm pulling up and kind of like pulling my hands together. Kind of like a motion in which I am going against the strings create the sound, but I'm not pulling enough to pop the string, which I have done before. So this really is something that you've got to know for your guitar, how far you can pull, because you want to do just enough to get the sound, but not enough to break it, essentially. And so that's just something that you have to work on getting touch yourself. That's something that's really hard for me to teach. One of the things that I think is interesting about playing the guitar is that, you and I could both have the same riff, play the same patterns, but it sounds differently because a lot of our tone comes from our hands. A lot of our style comes from the way in which we play, how we hold everything. And so a lot of these exercises really make them your own and discover your sound. So like I was saying, we got the 7th fret, the 8th fret, and the 9th fret. It's going to sound this. I'm going to move up. I'm going to do that D minor shape on the 8th fret of the 1st string. We have our 1st finger. Our ring finger is going to be on the 10th fret of the 2nd string. And our middle finger is going to be on the 9th fret of the 3rd string. Alright, and so one more before we get back to our C. Alright, we're going to have our index finger on the 1st fret, or the 1st string on the 10th fret. Our ring finger on the 12th fret of the 2nd string, and our middle finger on the 11th fret, or excuse me, the 12th fret. So this one, we're going to mix it up a bit, excuse me. So what we're going to do with this one is we're going to play the 10th fret with our first string, with our first finger. We're going to play the second string 12th fret with our pinky finger, and our 12th fret 3rd string with our ring finger. Mix it up a bit. And again, this is more the balance. The more we're shifting our fingers and not trying to stretch, the quicker we can switch between chords. Another thing that I try to focus on while I'm doing this is that as I'm letting this hold out, I am taking my first finger off and kind of sliding it so that the transition can be a bit smoother. But that's something that that you'll have to play with yourself. And the last chord is going to be back to a C, but instead of having the two open, we're going to have our first and our 3rd strings on, barred with our index finger. Playing the 12, we're going to put our middle finger on the 13th fret of the 2nd string, and we're back to C. So played through, it sounds like this. Alright, so there's a couple of different ways we can go about practicing this. And so for me, the 3 big things that I think about when I practice are tone, timing, and technique. So tone, we already talked about with the making sure that our fingers are below the strings as we're plucking to get the full extent of the chord. We don't want our palm laying on this to be muting the strings, right? I want to hear all 3 strings holding out for the same amount of time. Another thing with the tone is making sure that our fingers are all in the right position and sliding before we play the chord, and that we're in place before then. The technique that we talked about was the finger picking positions, how I'm still balancing with my pinky finger, and I'm using my thumb, my ring, and my middle finger, because that's comfortable for me. Obviously, if it works better for you, to use your index finger and balance with your thumb, in a way, kind of resting on the guitar like this, resting our palms. Please do what you're comfortable with. And so now timing. So there's going to be 2 different ways that I practice this. And definitely if you're interested in other timings, apply it to the things that you like to do. So I like to do this either in 8th notes or triplets. So if I'm counting 8th notes, I'm counting 1 and 1 and. If I'm counting triplets, I'm counting triplet, triplet. For 3-string chords, it is very convenient for me to use triplets. This is something I use to apply it then when I'm wanting to play faster runs. Practicing triplets and moving up helps me apply that then later on to some of those economy picking patterns that I was showing you guys in some of those earlier videos. So if I was going to apply this to the triplet timing pattern, what I would be doing is I'd be counting, alright, triplet, I'd be counting each beat with one of my fingers to make sure that I'm still counting in time. Alright, so triplet, 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 triplet. Alright, so that's how I would go up, playing that in a triplet timing, counting those 3 beats, and obviously play it up, play it back, mix it up. You can keep going past the 12th fret, everything will repeat itself. Right, we saw with our C, and we've also got our D minor, starting on the 13th fret. In theory terms, it is going to be identical. It's going to be an octave up, so it will sound a little bit higher. But essentially, you can't keep moving to the end of your neck. I'm running out of space because of the guitar I'm playing on. but you can mix it up. I will do my best to attach some diagrams to this video so you can see the scale that I'm using. But if I can't figure out how to do that, and you just throw A only in minor scale into Google, you'll get plenty of diagrams yourself. I hope this video has been helpful. If you've got any questions or anything specific you would like me to do in the next video, please let me know in the comments. Have fun playing, guys.